Awesome.
Yeah, welcome to Global Virtual Summit 2025, Rima.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Are we live?
Yes, we are on live.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I want
Uh,
to introduce you to our audience, Rima.
yes, of course.
Yeah. Rima Daras is a leadership coach and founder of E-Intel, specializing in emotional intelligence. With over a decade of corporate experience working with C-level executives, she is passionate about EQ's role in leadership. A PMP certified coach, she has led complex projects, designed strategic frameworks, and trained leaders in EQ skills for personal and professional success. That was an amazing bio, Rima, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much for having me. I just want to make sure that you can see my
Yes,
slides.
yes, yes, Rima. You can
Okay.
continue.
Awesome. Awesome. Good morning, everyone, from the shiny city of Dubai. Thank you all for having me on this amazing forum with such amazing women leaders. My talk here today is to talk about empowering women and looking at influence in particular using the science of emotional intelligence. And so, why emotional intelligence? I think I call myself an EQ or emotional intelligence enthusiast. I live it, I breathe it, I use it in my careers. I look out for it in any situation that happens to me during the day, any movie line. It's I live it and I breathe it, and so it resonates a lot with me, and I try to use it as much as I can to empower myself and the people around me. Moving on, if we start with a story. So I've had my career with the IT industry for over a decade. And I was very, very lucky that I got to speak to or work closely with C-level executives and watch how they lead. I was under the impression that it was always your IQ or how smart you were. But then I found out that there's something else that helped men and women lead in times of transitions, adversity, and those skill sets were not usually what how much you scored on a standardized test. Those skills were something that you learned or you had, and you used them to better influence the people around you. So let me give you a scenario. For example, you just joined a new company, and this is a new environment. You're leading a team. You're going in with a full bang, and you want to prove yourself that you're the right person for this job. And a few weeks in, you notice one of your team members is doing things completely wrong. They're not engaged, they're not following your direction. And so you pick up the phone and you speak to that person, you have a tough conversation, and you close the phone. That would have probably not helped make things better for the situation you're in because you could have had another option. The other option would have been to strategically build a relationship with that person, to find out more about that person's motivation, their drive, what skill sets they're empowered with, where are their strengths, where are their weaknesses. And once you get to have those conversations, you're able to connect with them on basis of trust. You tell them, for example, you know what, you remind me of my younger self when I was in this career. Here's a few ideas or guidelines I can share with you to help you grow with your career. I'm in this for your best interest. And so once you start doing that, and once you start to build that trust and relationship with people, it will always be easier to pivot. And what I mean by pivot is when a leader wants their team to act and do something with times of change and adversity, they need to have that happen fast. And for that to happen fast, that trust needs to be there with every team member. So I guess when you're a woman leader, your first aim is to be able to earn your team's trust. And trust, I don't take this word lightly because a lot of people can be talking a lot about how amazing they are and how you can trust them. Actually, trust sometimes takes time and sometimes is tested. And so you need to earn your team's trust for them to have that have build that emotion when they see you, that they're being seen and heard, and they will move with you in each direction you take. So that is one thing that I wanted to share with you today about the boss story. Moving on. So if we talk about emotional intelligence and if we talk about building trust, the biggest parts of emotional intelligence is having that loyalty and trust, being able to ask your team to pivot when you need to, but you need to have those foundations in place first. This emotional intelligence also helps a lot with your decision making. It gives you that room and leverage to make better decisions when you've got that foundation of being a highly emotional intelligent leader. It drives performances, and you have to have the tough conversations. People often think that being emotionally intelligent means you're emotional or you're soft, and it's actually quite the opposite. It's a strength skill. And people who have high emotional intelligence are the ones that actually are better at having the tough conversations. It comes to them easily. They're able to look at things at all sides and make sure that every time they reach a conclusion that works for everybody. So you're able to balance tough conversations. They don't come hard, they come easy to you. And you have a lot of strength and courage. Being emotionally intelligent requires you to be very, very strong. So it's quite the opposite of what some people think it is. So IQ versus EQ, we all know Einstein had one of the highest IQs out there. I think the latest IQ was 214, what we have so far on records. But if we really look at EQ or emotional intelligence, 90% of top performers are scoring now high on emotional intelligence. So it's no longer what degree you have or from what university or the skill sets. Actually, it's your emotional intelligence attributes that makes you a great leader or a top performer. They're even, if you look at the Harvard Business Review's most read article online, it's the one on emotional intelligence. You'll be surprised. A lot of leaders out there are delving into the science to find out how they can upskill their attributes to become better performers or to become better leaders. And so there's even a program out there just dedicated to CEO levels in the US only on self awareness. So it's a 4-year program helping and guiding CEOs on just the mode of self awareness. So emotional intelligence has two components, and they go into many, many other components, but we're just going to talk about it at a high level. There's the self and there's the social. You cannot do the social awareness unless you work on the self first. So I think many of us joined many of these sessions the past 2 days, and there was a lot of talk about self-awareness. And this is an amazing, amazing thing to have when you navigate your world. So when I teach my clients about self-management, which is very, very important, especially if you're a leader, you need to be able to self-regulate and self-manage yourself and be aware. So we get stimulus all the time. When we wake up, there's stimulus coming to our brains. There's the news, there's bad news from the school or your kids or something that happened at work, an email that you got. So this stimulus is coming at us at all angles. And so we have that capability to respond. And what we do with that time before we respond is we widen the gap. We pause, we take a moment, we reflect, we find out what is that news making me feel? Why am I feeling this? And then you think about the best outcome that could help you and the people around you before you create your response. And when you have that time and leverage, you can create more impactful relationships and actions within your team, your workplace, your personal life. This is, I think, life changing for so many to be able to have that time to reflect before responding. So this is one key skills that we teach our clients on self-management. Your social brain. So even the introverts are social beings. We have social brains. They are wired for us to connect with other beings. We have to admit that that's how we are. Human beings are social beings. But we can use that social brain to understand others. And if you are watching and listening to others, you're doing a great job because people usually send to you signals all the time. Even when they're not speaking, they're still sending you signals. And you got to be smart on how to read those signals. And so we teach our clients to be socially aware. We ask them to always look out for that one person in a room who's able to calm things down. So if there's a heated discussion in a meeting, they're the ones that ask everybody to take a break, um, recuperate, and come back in 2 minutes so they can get focused on the right things to discuss. So that social person, the person that's able to read other people's social cues, their emotions, that is a key skill set that we teach our clients as well. So social awareness is very, very important here too. So if I were to look at attributes for people with high EQ and people with low EQ, I mean, if you think about it, what would be some behaviors? I'm giving a few here, but I'm sure there's a list that we can all create together. Some ideas is people with high EQ are the people who are able to listen with their body, their mind, and they have great eye contact. So when they're talking to you, they're not looking at their phone. They're not distracted from anything that's happening. They've got your attention, and they're very mindful of that. They're strategic when they're talking to you. Um, they never, ever interrupt you. Notice the people that quite interrupt you all the time. Those are not skill sets that we try to teach. We let people finish their full sentence or their full statements that they want to do before we reflect and answer back. People with high EQ are usually people who don't raise their voice. They're great at self-regulation. They have a monotonous voice level that rarely goes high or low. And so they use that as a strength to show that they are in control, whatever the stakes are. People also with high EQ are seekers for solutions and they do not blame others. They might say when something is not turning right or not looking right, but they don't play the blaming game, especially at work. In the corporate world, it's always a team effort. And we try to help those that are struggling, and we make sure that everyone's eye is on the target and on the ball, and we avoid blaming others as much as we can. So people with low EQ are the people who are tend to, the office gossips. There's always people who will gossip in the office. So if you're trying to build relationships and trust and you're a new leader in a company, being a gossiper is the last thing you should do because that immediately builds trust along other lines of relationship building. So the blaming and the gossiping is one thing we don't do it with people when we teach them high EQ. The raising of the voice is similar. People with low EQ have poor body language. They're the ones that are usually going, or they're rolling their eyes when you're talking to them. Like they're frustrated, they're loud, and they're not happy with what things are, and they're blaming others, and so you can tend to see that those are usually skill sets that can be improved if worked on when you look at emotional intelligence. So here we are talking about artificial intelligence, the big buzz on AI, and how does that mirror or how does it marry with EQ or emotional intelligence? And I think when I start asking people, when you think of AI and what AI is going to do to transform our world, what is your biggest fear? And then when people answer that question, it was mostly um, ethics, justice, security, safety. And then when we put these all together, those things that that, make us skeptical a little bit about of artificial intelligence, it's that human oversight. We will still need that human oversight in all agents and models that we do with technology. AI is going to be transformational for the way we do work, the way we run our life, and we need to embrace it, yes, but we need to make sure our emotional intelligence are intact. It helps, we need to make sure that we've got human oversight in running all of these models and agents, because that way we protect certain biases. We make sure that feedback is purely and genuinely empathetic. It's not artificially empathetic. We need to have human active listening in a way that they can read emotions and the way that they can respond to those emotions. And so emotional intelligence now is needed more than ever when we look at what's happening with AI. The World Economic Forum released a report early this year for the future of work for 2025. And guess what were the top 10 skills the young generation needed to upskill on for AI when AI is coming into the works? So the first nine are all on emotional intelligence, or mostly analytical thinking, resilience, flexibility, agility, motivation, and self awareness. So all of these are attributes of what we teach in emotional intelligence. And lo and behold, it is one of the key skill sets that we will need in 2025. I think this is a little bit obvious for our forum here, our women forum. Are women more emotionally intelligent than men? I will have you answer that and let me know what you think. Okay. So, on average, women are more emotionally intelligent than men. However, we score higher when it comes to empathy, interpersonal relationships. We're great with our socializing, but we're much more social beings. But men did score high when it came to self-confidence and stress management. But on average, we do score higher. And so the I think the moral of the story here is that no matter what gender you are, you can definitely work on your skill sets and become more aware, self-aware, and socially aware with trainings and understanding, and become more better at having emotional intelligence. Okay, if you were to ask me what are the ways that you can increase your EQ, I would say some examples would be just have another birthday. Age and wisdom is tends to, when you become older, you understand things more. Nothing surprises you anymore like it used to be. And so age and is also wisdom, which is also you're more highly emotionally intelligent. We definitely recommend travel because when you travel, you put yourself in unfamiliar territories and you're able to deal with biases that you have. And when you deal with biases, you're able to expand your awareness, and that gives you a better sense of being emotionally intelligent. Be assertive in what you value. So say it out loud. When things value to you, you are proud of them and be assertive in what they are. And have the open mind to talk about other people's values and look at them and have the easy discussions. Learn and motivate yourself. You know what? I just learned this the hard way. No one's going to come and motivate you. You are the only person that's going to self motivate. So don't wait for someone to come and tell you, you need to do this, you need to do that. It needs to come from you. And people with high EQ are the ones who understand this. They're the ones that know, okay, I need to wake up every morning. I need to self motivate. I got my goals in mind, and this is what I'm going to do. Whether it comes to exercise, productivity at work, relationship at home. So they're actually very great at self motivation, and they've got goals that they set for themselves, and it has nothing to do with other people around them in their lives. It's their personal journey, and they understand that. Another important thing is take feedback and critique well. I can't stress this enough, especially at work. If you're preparing for a presentation and you gave your presentation, go back to your manager or go back to your team member, ask them for feedback, because that's a sign that you're showing them that you want to grow and you do want to grow. And so you ask them for candid feedback, honest feedback. You're strong enough to take any feedback that they have, and you will work on yourself. So sometimes I feel this is a key with people with high EQ, that they're very curious to hear what people think of their work and ways that they can improve. Delay gratification as much as you can. Be a pauser. When you're quiet, when you take the space to be silent, it's a sign of strength and not a weakness. A lot of people feel that they have to be filling up space and time with words, when actually quietness and taking pauses is actually a sign of strength and reflection. Be honest. And lastly, whenever someone's asking me, I'm having a difficult time with a coworker or a friend, I always provide the advice is you start to be kind. Start with kindness, because it will always backfire with kindness. And so take them out for coffee, find out more about this person, be strategic about how you're building that relationship, asking about their kids, asking about their pets. And once you start being kind, that usually reciprocates, and then you lower the barriers for any hostility. I think I will close off with a saying from long, long time ago, many centuries ago, Aristotle, who actually discovered the beauty of emotional intelligence. And now we're reading it every day. We even see it in scriptures and religious sayings as of today. But one of them is this: educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. So when you are educating your mind, you have to make sure that you're using your heart together to trust your emotions, to understand people's emotions, and to work with that to have a better impact in your life and for the people around you. Thanks, everyone. Do we have any questions? I can't hear anyone. Melinda? Hi.
Yes, Rima. That
Yes,
was a
yeah.
fantastic talk, Rima.
Thank you.
We have a few questions from our audience, Rima. I am asking one of them. How can emotional intelligence be a game changer for leaders navigating high pressure corporate environments?
Okay, good question. I was with a very, very high performing team at Cisco, and we were global. As a leader, I think it was very, very important that they become self-aware, and for them, the leaders need to know their strengths and weaknesses. Actually, the people who are the top performers are the ones that understand their weaknesses and say it out loud. And so you'll be surprised. Leaders need to say, you know what, I don't do good at this. I need help here. And I'm going to either hire someone to help me that, or I'm going to delegate that to someone else. This is where I'm good at. And this is where I think I can lead with you. So self-awareness of leaders is key when you're leading a high impact and high volatile environment, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Rima. We got the best answer. And thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for this forum. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of the day, everyone.
Please stay in the backstage and join the next session.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.